Okay, picture this. You're at the post office and you need to ship a package. Inside are these beautiful, really delicate champagne glasses. So what do you write on the outside of that box?
Right. You'd slap a big fragile sticker on it. It's a super simple instruction, isn't it? Handle with care because any little shock, any stress, and it's all over. It shatters. Simple enough. All right. Now imagine you're shipping something else. This time, it's just a solid block of iron. You probably wouldn't even put a label on that thing. It's robust. You can drop it, you can kick it. Heck, you could probably throw it, and it just stays the same. It just resists the stress. Nothing happens. But here's the real puzzle. What if there was a third, kind of magical package? One where every drop, every single jolt, all that mishandling actually makes the contents stronger. What's the word for that? You might think resilient, right? But not quite. Resilient means it bounces back to where it started. Adaptable? Yeah, we're getting warmer, but it's still not it. The truth is, we don't really have a word for this concept in everyday language. And so the philosopher and former trader Nassim Taleb, he just went ahead and invented one. He calls it antifragile. See, it's not just about surviving chaos. It's about using chaos as fuel. It's any system that actually gets better from shocks. And believe me, this one word, it's the key to a completely new way of looking at the world. So to really get this, Taleb says you can basically place everything, and I mean everything, your career, the economy, your health, into one of three buckets. He calls this framework the triad. And he uses these really powerful myths to make the ideas stick. So first up, you've got the fragile. He nicknames this the sword of Damocles. You know the story. It looks all powerful, but it's hanging by a single thread. One tiny shock and it all comes crashing down. It absolutely hates randomness. Then you have the robust, which is like the phoenix. It can go through a fire, get totally destroyed, and then be reborn exactly as it was before. It basically just ignores chaos. And finally, you get the anti-fragile. This is the Hydra, you know, the mythical beast where if you cut off one of its heads, two more grow back in its place. The attack literally makes it stronger. It loves chaos. So the whole point of this, the core lesson is, you want to be the Hydra. I mean, we live in a world that constantly tells us to avoid stress, right? Seek comfort, seek stability. But what Taleb argues is that by trying to avoid all the little bumps and bruises, we're actually making ourselves incredibly fragile. So when a real crisis hits, we just shatter. The path to true strength isn't about avoiding stress. It's about seeking out the right kind of stressors. So why do we get this so wrong? Why do we fail to see all this fragility building up around us? Well, it often comes down to what Taleb brilliantly calls the turkey problem. Okay, I want you to imagine you are a turkey. And every single day, this very kind farmer comes out and feeds you. On day 1, you feel pretty good about this setup. By day 100, your confidence is through the roof. This farmer is great. By day 1000, you've got a mountain of data. You could even run a statistical analysis that proves with like 99.9% confidence that this farmer's sole mission in life is your well-being. And then, day 1001 rolls around, and it just happens to be the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. The turkey's model of the world was absolutely perfect, right up until the moment it catastrophically wasn't. The problem wasn't the data, it was how the turkey interpreted it. It made a fatal mistake. It confused the absence of evidence of danger, I haven't been killed yet, with the evidence of its absence, I will never be killed. And this is the trap that we all fall into. We think a stock market that only goes up and up is safe. We think that job we've had for 10 years is secure. We go around suppressing small forest fires to create stability, but all we're really doing is letting the dead wood pile up, guaranteeing that the next fire will be an absolute inferno. That feeling of stability, it can be an illusion that's just hiding a catastrophic risk. Okay, so if stability is a trap, how do we get out of it? Well, Taleb gives us some really practical strategies to structure our lives so we can actually benefit from chaos instead of being broken by it. The first one is called the barbell strategy. Now, most of us are told to aim for that medium-risk middle ground. Taleb says that's exactly where the turkeys live. Instead, he says you should divide your efforts into two wild extremes. On one end of the barbell, you put, say, 90% of your resources into things that are extremely safe. Your boring but stable day job, cash in the bank, this protects you from ruin. But on the other side of the barbell, you put that last 10% into high-risk, high-reward stuff. Starting that side hustle, writing a novel, making some small angel investments. This exposes you to massive, unlimited upside. You're safe from catastrophe, but you're also wide open to incredible opportunity. The second strategy is called via negativa, which basically means the negative way. Our natural instinct is always to add things to improve our lives, right? Add a new productivity app, add a new supplement to our diet, add a new rule. But Taleb argues that real improvement often comes from subtraction, because we are far more certain about what is wrong than what is truly right. So, for example, you want to improve your health? Don't start by adding a dozen new vitamins. Just start by removing processed sugar. Want to improve your finances? Don't start chasing the next hot stock. Just start by stopping the behaviors that are losing you money. True wisdom isn't always in finding the perfect thing to add, but in ruthlessly getting rid of what's hurting you. Now for the ethical core that kind of holds this entire philosophy together. Why is our world so fragile? Well, according to Taleb, it really boils down to a simple but incredibly profound idea. Skin in the game. It just means having some real exposure to the consequences of your own actions and decisions. The big problem in our world is that the people who often create the most fragility, the bankers who crash economies, the pundits who call for wars they'll never fight, they rarely suffer the downside. They get the upside, the bonus, while other people pay the ultimate price. So Taleb's role is simple and it is powerful. Never, ever trust anyone who isn't bearing the risk of their own advice. So as we wrap this up, Taleb leaves us with one last, really powerful metaphor to guide us. Think about this for a sec. The wind. It extinguishes a candle. That stress, that randomness from the wind is just too much for that little fragile flame. But that very same wind, that exact same stressor, does the complete opposite to a bonfire. It feeds it. It makes it grow, makes it roar with way more intensity, more power. The same random event can destroy one thing and strengthen another. So the ultimate takeaway, the call to action from this whole way of thinking, is actually pretty simple. Don't be the candle, be the fire. Look, this philosophy isn't about trying to avoid the winds of chaos and volatility and stress. It's about building a life and a career and a mindset that is designed to harness them, to actually turn them into fuel. So the final question for you is, when you really look at how you live your life, are you a turkey, just waiting for Thanksgiving? Or are you a hydra, growing stronger with every single challenge?